Welcome back to another episode of the React Native Radio Podcast. Episode 357, React Native 82 through 84, and Expo SDK 55.
Welcome back, React Native Radio fans. I'm Mazen, she's Robin, and we're React Native Radio. Before we get into our topic, let's hear from our sponsor. Infinite Red is a premier React Native consultancy located fully remote in the US. We're a team of 30 senior plus level React Native developers and support staff, and have been doing this for nearly a decade. If you're looking for React Native expertise for your next project, hit us up at infinite.red/radio. Don't forget to mention that you heard about us through the React Native Radio Podcast. All right, let's get into our topic for today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's been, well, it spans a 5-month time frame. That's a lot. Yeah. October 2025 to February 2026.
We're a little behind on our React Native and Expo release episodes.
Yeah.
And well, so there's been a few. So we're going to talk about all of them.
We're going to cover React Native 82 to 84. And that, 84 coincides with Expo SDK 55, which we'll mention, along the way. Let's dig into it, because there's a lot of, we've kind of put this out in little chunks, I think it is. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have like our other 5 section. So like a lot of cool stuff has happened in these 3 releases.
There's some overall trends.
Yeah.
That span all of these releases. Mm-hmm. We saw some patterns, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't do like a Expo. We can't do like a React Native specific one and then an Expo specific one.
They're all tied together.
Yeah, they do the same thing.
And if we had done them just like one in a row, we would have been talking about the same things each time. So
exactly. Yeah. And then if we had done Expo SDK separately, it's like, oh wait, remember 3 episodes ago? Well, okay. Robin, first section is the architecture transformation. How has the current architecture evolved in regards, especially to the legacy architecture?
Well, this is maybe the last one of these where we'll even be talking about the architecture, because in version 82 or 0.82 is the first release that is entirely new architecture. You cannot even turn on the old architecture. The new arc enabled equals false flag is ignored. There's like the interop layers are like fully in place. Like this is the architecture in 82. So if you're still running the old one, you are stuck on 81 until you migrate. So hopefully that means like we won't even be talking about architecture anymore, because it'll just be the architecture. Mm-hmm. I think they're still going to be cleaning up a few things. Like 82 is where they drew the line, but then like 84 had there was still a bunch of legacy stuff that was being removed, like stuff that you can't access anymore, but that they're just cleaning up. And then, yeah, on the Expo side, 54 was the last to support the old architecture. And so 55 is all new all the time. We're done with the old.
Out with the old, in with the new.
In with the new.
Yeah, so much migration. Thank you to the Meta team and, and everyone else in the open source community that has put so much time into this, for sure. Cool. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what there is on that, is basically like, there's not a lot of new work. It's just like, hey, we're finally turning off the old one. So it's definitely noteworthy, but there wasn't a lot of actual changes other than ignoring the flag and removing some legacy stuff.
That's awesome.
But the next big piece was Hermes.
Yeah.
So if Mazen, you want to talk about Hermes?
Yeah. So I think one thing to keep in mind is, as of now, everyone's probably heard of Hermes V1 and what it's capable of and what it can do. Version 82, which came out, again, October, 5 months ago. Not to be confused with static Hermes, right? Hermes V1 came out as experimental. There were some great performance benchmarks, right? I think we saw Expensify said their app had a 3 to 9% faster bundle load time. And you can opt in for this, right? It's experimental. You opt in for it. In 84, V1 became the default, but you can opt out of it. So there's if it's not compatible with what you have, some packages you're writing, you can kind of come in and out of it optionally.
If you're opting out, you are having to build from source. Is that
correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because of a lot of changes that happened, in the older versions where the building is so dependent on Hermes. As far as it goes from the Expo land, right? You have to define your Expo build property configuration to make sure you're using V1 if you want to use it. And also, something that's opt-in is faster updates for end users. Something that I'm noticing. I just finished an Expo updates, like a QR code on your push notification so that product can test the app quickly and give me feedback on the new feature before, we take it to QA and all that. One thing I am noticing is my initial implementation of it, which I did about like a month ago. It was good, but I'm seeing much faster times now. I need to do a percentage check on the times and see how it is. But Expo updates does byte diffing, so it's much faster.
Nice.
And I'm noticing it's much faster because I remember before it was kind of one of those things where I'd set it and like forget it and like move on to my next ticket. But now it's like I set it, like I do my push and then I start pinging the BAs and I'm like, hey, you all ready to test? And by the time they like get back to me, which usually they're kind of on call because we're trying to get this app out ASAP, it's ready. So quite some good improvements and performances there.
So byte diffing is like it's comparing the like binary instead of the regular code. Is that what that means?
I don't know exactly what it was doing before, but yes.
It's like a more efficient diffing mechanism. So when you're getting an over-the-air update, it figures out what's changed quicker. Cool.
Yeah. And I wonder if they're only shipping the difference within it, which is why it makes it faster, right? I think that kind of makes sense.
So many smart people at Meta. We've had
Svetin
on the podcast
Hermes
several
team,
times.
right?
Yeah. He's really fun to talk to, and he just has so much knowledge in his brain and that I could never hope to have.
Yeah. The next one actually that I want to talk about is React 19 lands to React Native. This is big. It has some really cool features. So if you're a web and React Native developer, and when you're working on your React project, you kind of get these instantly as soon as they roll out. We have to wait for a little bit. Like how long has React 19 been out for before we got it in 82, right? So anyways, one big thing is, React 19.2 specifically comes with activity and use effect event, right? This is a React hook that lets you separate events from effects, right? Use effect can be, how do I say this?
I think it was overused.
Yes.
People use it for stuff that it wasn't good at or really meant for.
Yeah. And all the linting tools will always like make you exhaust them, which doesn't give you necessarily what you want. And if you want one on mount, you're not supposed to put anything in the dependency array, but your lint tool requires you to, so you kind of have to disable it and put a comment while you're disabling it, right? So there's just all this stuff. This is just
this is like
cleaner way.
When we evolved from class components, I think a lot of people, probably myself included, didn't really know what to do without like component did mount and like, because that's where we would like fetch all our data and like do all this stuff, right? And then functional, like the hook stuff came along and we were just looking for a one-to-one replacement. And so we're like, well, it seems like use effect is what you use for that. And it turns out use effect is actually not really ideal for those sort of one-off events. So now we have use effect event, which is more optimized for exactly that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I think, some other key features, owner stack for better error debugging, are that red screen where usually you're just like, okay, fine, dismiss, put some console logs in and figure out where your error is because it's not really helpful, is getting better, right? I won't dig into that because I think we discussed that a little bit later. Activity. I know I glossed over it earlier, but I want to kind of chat about activity real quick. So in the context of React, what is activity? Activity is kind of like what was, I believe it was called suspense in the past, right? It does the same thing where you can hide and, and show the UI your UI based off of a state. So it's activity, and then you set a mode, whether it's visible or hidden. And then, it does, it's kind of like on web, it does display none versus display and shows the items for you. So it's a cool way of doing like a loading state, or even showing a sidebar. Well, that's more web related, right?
You use it to control like the visibility of stuff. So like,
yes. Yeah.
like tabs, modals, sidebars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Based on the life cycle of the component.
Just hide your UI, makes it easy for you, right? Suspense was more of like loading state. This is more of, hey, I just need to hide this thing while my app is doing something else. Yeah, cool. I mean, that's pretty much it. Just, I would say read up on the React 19.1 to 19.2 docs to get more information, right?
Yeah, 82 React Native 82 was 19.1.1, and then 84 is at 19.2.3. So yeah, spanning just a couple of the minor versions.
Yeah, because I know there's one, and I'm saying, and I see it in the notes, but it's called use deferred value. This is a cool one. It's almost like I think of it as like a debounce almost. Like you're basically saying, defer updating part of my UI, based off of this. And I think it takes a value that you can then control within it. So
lots of optimizations for snappy UIs and more performance.
Absolutely.
We also saw a bunch of developer experience wins in these few versions. My favorite being the updates to React Native DevTools. There's now a desktop app for React Native DevTools, which is very exciting. No more keeping track of which Chrome window is your debugger compared to your actual Chrome.
Yeah. And that's version 83 technically.
Yeah, that came with
Expo 55
with 83 and 50 and Expo 55. That's right.
Yeah.
And there's also more stuff in the React Native debugger, like performance tracing and network inspection. It's getting more and more comparable to like the dev tools that you would expect in the browser. Really, really, really good strides there. I'm really happy to see the debugging experience get more robust and mature. So really excited about that. Also on the performance side, 84 now comes with precompiled iOS binaries by default. Now this was a feature that came in an earlier version, but it was an opt-in, I believe. And now as of 84, it's on by default. So what this means is just that the React Native like core library comes pre-compiled, so you don't have to compile it during your React Native run iOS builds, basically. And so build times are way smaller. My notes say 120 seconds was the previous build time, down to 10 seconds for the RN tester app that is the app they use to test all the React Native versions. Yeah.
I remember when I was on version 77 helping with getting that out the door, we had to use the testing app for that. So I can only imagine how much faster that is now.
Insane improvement in build time.
Big time.
Yeah, that's wild.
And also another note to mention is moving towards Swift Package Manager. That's a big one, right? Because CocoaPods is getting sunset end of this year.
Which
I think
is so sad.
December 26th.
I mean,
right?
CocoaPods is annoying, so that part's not sad. I just love the name. Like I've always enjoyed like CocoaPods, like it's a cool like package.
SPM doesn't ring a bell. It's almost like spam. Sounds like spam to me.
CocoaPods it makes me think of like dessert. And I'm like, oh, it's CocoaPods.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Maybe that's just how my weird brain works. But yeah, in terms of usability, I think people will be more happy to use Swift Package Manager.
Yeah. It's also exciting that we are we're more than half a year away from it being sunset. And I think it's just going to be read only. You can still use it, just knowing that if anything breaks, that's it, right? You just almost need to fork it and fix it yourself. So it's almost cool that this early in the game, we're starting the transition towards it. And hopefully, we're on it, we're stable, we fix all the bugs that are there well before CocoaPods is sunset. And I'm sure the meta team has a roadmap for that.
Agreed. There were some web API compatibility improvements as well over all three versions. Performance APIs, DOM node APIs, URL APIs, lots more just sort of like bringing the web APIs up to the standard on the web, which I think a lot of developers appreciate.
Yeah, and that's like if you ever use the, for example, new URL to like set up a hash, a host, a path name.
Yeah, it never worked right exactly how you wanted it to.
Yeah. Or even like URL search params, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which then give you set, get, delete, which make it easier, more optimal instead of you putting together a string and be like as URL or as something. So it passes. Yeah.
I think I had to bring in like
there's a
third party libraries to deal with URLs because the native URL API was not like, it wasn't like up to where the web is. But now it sounds like it's closer.
Yeah. And I mean, this is cool stuff. I mean, the ability to just use JavaScript functions within React Native is great.
You might also notice as a developer that some differences in the project structure in Expo SDK 55. They revamped the default template. So now it looks a little different. There's a source folder structure now. So instead of it being in /app, it's in /source/app. So you can keep your configuration files and stuff a little bit more separate from your main like app source. And they also brought in the native tabs API for the tab routing. So it's a much more platform native experience. So yeah, that was an Expo SDK 55 update. There was a bunch of other cool Expo stuff that's just like the Expo SDK stuff, not necessarily React Native stuff.
Yeah. So for example, some of those Expo Router V6 has been enhanced. So Apple Zoom transitions, experimental split view. I believe that's more iPad specific related. Colors API for Material 3 setup. Robin mentioned it earlier. Native tabs, those have been cleaned up too. Liquid glass and all that within it. So that's some cool stuff. Expo SDK 55 also includes the new Expo Brownfield package. So better integration for existing native apps. So if you have a native app, you can, bring in React Native into your native app and slowly transition it over. And I wonder too, if you're a Flutter dev, you can probably do that too and transition and make your app a little more performant if you'd like.
Yeah. There's an alpha for Expo widgets, which is fun. I love if you're an iPhone user. I'm wondering how many of you out there actually use widgets. I love using widgets to like customize your home screen and your iPhone experience.
Yeah. Like when we're talking to William Kendion, we're talking about flights app and making them like look cool. That's another one. You could track a flight and kind of see where it's at and put that widget on your homepage.
I literally have a widget on my homepage that's just a countdown to the next F1 race.
Well, there you go. There you go. Now that's possible.
Very important. It takes up. Yeah. It's worth a good amount of real estate on my home screen.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's cool. Experimental support for receiving shared data in Expo sharing. So this was like a long requested feature. I remember we built an app for a client several years ago that were requesting the ability to have your app receive shared data. So like, when you're in an app and there's a share option, you share it and it pulls up like this bottom sheet and you can scroll through like different apps to like send the share to, like it's text or photo, whatever. But there was never a good way in React Native to set your app up to be a recipient of like a share and to appear in that sheet. And it sounds like there's now some experimental support for that in Expo sharing. Like it was always easy to like share out. Like there was plenty of support for that, but like being the recipient was hard and people have been requesting it forever. It sounds like they're finally adding it to Expo sharing. So that's exciting.
I believe there's like native limitations to it too, both out and in sharing. So, being able to fix that and standardize that is very important.
Yeah, it does say it's experimental, but that's still a good step. It sounds like it's a gnarly problem to fix. And so that's why it's probably taken so long, but it's exciting.
This
next part made us laugh out loud. If you've read the actual blog article, like announcement for the SDK 55, they talk about changing their versioning schemes, meaning that like all of the supporting Expo packages are now going to like be aligned with the SDK version. So they're all going to be 55 to match SDK 55. But in the announcement, they included the meme of the guy going through the drive-through, and he's like doing the pay it forward thing where he's like, I'll pay for the guy behind me, and then immediately exits the drive-through and goes around and orders 55 tacos. It's okay, 55 fries, 55 like 55. Of a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. We'll have to find the clip and put it in the show notes because it's too funny. But they use the meme in the blog for SDK 55, which I found funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah. And let's actually go to the last bit we have here, which again, in today's world and where we're at in tech, we don't want to gloss over AI specific. There's a lot of AI tooling out there now. I'm sure we're going to have a full episode on AI in general at some point soon. Maybe we'll pull in Jamin for that and have a chat.
I'm sure Jamin would love to make a reappearance to talk about AI tooling.
Exactly. And, a couple of things to just quickly highlight again is, stuff like Xcode and Android Studio now give you ability to integrate AI within them. But also from an Expo and React Native perspective, Expo is now giving us Expo MCP server for you to use. Also with agent skills. So if you go to the Expo skills repo, which I'll include in the show notes also, there's a huge collection of their like official AI agent skills that you can use with Claude Code. And I believe along with the Opus model, it's fine-tuned for that. So again, it kind of leads towards the end of this conversation here where it's like, how do you upgrade kind of thing? Try out the Expo skill. Use that skill to help you with the upgrade, or even, just do it old school way. If you're using the React Native CLI, use the upgrade helper. If you're in Expo, upgrade by doing npx expo install expo at next -- fix, and that'll kind of get you migrated over.
I'm sure there are devs out there that still do them by hand, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine going back to doing them by hand now that I've experienced doing them with agents. Yeah. But that'll be a whole topic.
Yes. Exactly.
We'll do another episode on.
Yeah. And, we're going to include all these links to 82, 83, 84, SDK 55 in the show notes. Check them out if you haven't already. There's always some good, nuggets in there that are important to look at, and kind of like, I want to end on this last one. From a React Native perspective, version 0.83 was the first release with no breaking changes.
Woohoo!
Our baby's all grown up, right? This is amazing. This is like big news. This is great.
Time for version 1.0.
Is it? Right? That should have been 1.0, right? That would have been a great thing. Like, hey, no breaking changes.
I don't see it ever happening.
No, it's fine.
We're going to have we just have a party when we get to 0.100 though.
Yes.
That'll be a fun episode that we'll do.
That will be.
It's not 1.0, but it's still something to celebrate.
We'll still be here for episode React Native 0.1000. We got you guys. Don't worry.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's all we have. Those are, again, our takes of the major highlights from these past 5 months of upgrades, I guess. Go ahead, upgrade your app. If your client is giving you, it's being like, well, no, I don't want to spend time on that. Let's focus on new features and stuff. Like, well, I can accomplish those features even better for you and give you better UI and performance if you let me upgrade. That's what I always say.
Mm-hmm. Works every time.
Every time. And that's it for this episode. Robin, as always, do you have a mom joke for us?
Do have a good one. Today I learned if you turn a canoe over, you can wear it as a hat because it's capsized. Huh?
That's a good one. That was a good one.
That was from Carlin. He is a source of many of my mom jokes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, and see you all next time.
Bye.
As always, thanks to our editors, Todd Worth, Tyler Williams, and Jed Bartosky, our marketing and episode release coordinator, Justin Husky, and our guest coordinator, Mazen Chami. Our producers and hosts are Jamin Holmgren, Robin Hines, and Mazen Chami. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check us out at infinite.red/radio. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe to React Native Radio on all the major podcasting platforms.